Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's game here on SportsNetUSA.net. I'm Matt Rogers alongside Ryan Osborn for today's game between the 8-1 Saddleback Bobcats and the 8-1 El Camino Warriors. And Ryan, this is basically a game to decide who's going to win the conference.
It really is, and when you look at it, especially after El Camino ends up beating Riverside last week in what ended up kind of being a thriller towards the back half of it, it looked like both of these two teams were going to end up having a matchup 4 weeks ago, looking down the line and saying, okay, El Camino Saddleback would be the conference championship, if you will, at the end of the season, and it could not have set up any better than the way that it has, because you have two very good teams, one who is good offensively, one who is very good defensively. This should be a very good battle today.
So El Camino won the toss. They elected to receive, which has become kind of rare in today's football. Usually teams will defer to the second half, but they took the ball, and they're going to start on offense with their quarterback, Andrew Moshart, taking snaps.
On that last play, immediately, Dominic Lopez was in the backfield. He gets a hand on it, starting to prevent the opportunity for El Camino to get off to the start that they want.
So that brings up a 2nd down and 10. Marshart takes the snap. He's going to run with this one, and he's not going anywhere. Brought down in the backfield.
Gavin Blum's the one who ends up getting that tackle there for the Bobcats. Blum with 27 tackles, and that is his 6.5 tackle for loss this season.
So that's going to bring up a 3rd and long. It's 3rd and 12 here on the first possession for the Warriors in this all-important game. El Camino, a very good team on 3rd downs. Now let's see what they can do here on their first third down of today's game. And El Camino looking in, trying to find the play. Took a long time, and they end up calling a timeout, first timeout of the game, less than a minute into this game.
Yeah, and if you're the Saddleback defense, you're really happy about the way that the first two plays have gone. You get a tip by Dominic Lopez, you get a tackle for loss by Gavin Blum, and now you're sitting at 3rd and 12 that you have forced them into, and they've already taken their first time out of the first half. Good spot for the Saddleback defense. Now, of course, with the rest of the way that this Saturday is going to go, we're going to keep you updated with the out-of-town scoreboard because it will be important to see whether teams like Ventura wins, Mount Sac win, and, of course, you have El Camino and Saddleback. Fullerton Golden West are in a battle for their conference as well. And then will Cerritos get a win later on today against East LA? All of these different results have a big, big ramification towards what the playoff will look like.
So here comes 3rd down and 12. Moshart drops back to pass, looking over the middle, and defense is there. But a flag comes in late. Pass was intended for Marcus Moore. Falls incomplete, but there is a flag.
So the question is, are they going to rule that he ends up getting there just a shade too early? That was Roman Harden who was in on the breakup there, and he gets to that ball as soon as, or he gets to the player as soon as that ball comes in, but it looks like they will march it back.
Pass interference, defense number 0. Ball be played from the spot of the foul, automatic first down.
So pass interference on Roman Harden is going to give El Camino a first down. So it's 1st down and 10 for El Camino on their own 36-yard line. Moshart takes a snap, drops back to pass, gets this one off, and it's incomplete. He was looking for Nazarius Williams.
Iman Carter on the far side ends up getting in on the coverage, gets his hand in right as the ball arrives. No pass interference because he actually gets his right hand out and makes contact with the ball first before he makes contact with the player.
So that brings up a 2nd down and 10. Moshart drops back to pass. Is going to swing this one out to his halfback. Pass is complete to Jaden Moore. And Moore picks up a couple of yards where he is brought down.
And, Matt, throughout the season, you've been talking about it with the penalties. 93 penalties for, I believe, a shade over 600 yards at this point. If you're Saddleback, the way to win this game and the way to win your conference, you cannot allow for this offense of El Camino to get free downs.
Here comes a big third down. Marshot drops back to pass, completes that one. Brandon Jones fighting his way for a first down. He caught that one a couple of yards short of the first down, but was able to slip a couple tackles and gets the first down. And yeah, you're right. You know, we've watched this Saddleback team, and I would say the only area of deficiency that we've really seen this year has been those penalties. Marshart gets that pass off, and it's complete out to the left side.
And it's an interesting look, too, Matt, because you look at the penalties, and they have extended drives for opposing offenses. This defense is very physical and very good, and they're good in anticipation. They've got a lot of tackles for loss, 5 interceptions, return for touchdowns, but they have to be able to get themselves off the field.
Nazarius Williams with the catch there. There's a handoff up the middle, and nothing there. A loss of 1 on the carry. That was DeMonte Bias with the carry.
And Noah Luganville was the one who comes in on the tackle on the far side.
So another third down. This is the third down of this first drive. El Camino's converted the first 2, 1 on a penalty and 1 on a completed pass. Marchart's got 4 wide receivers. He's got Bias in the backfield with him. He drops back to pass, gets this one off, and it falls incomplete, but that pass might have gone backwards. And what are they ruling this? They ruled out a fumble.
Omar Gonzalez is the one who gets to that football, and that's a great call there by the official. That ball was let go at the 39-yard line and goes back to the 40. Then it goes off of his hands and pops away. Omar Gonzalez is the first one in on the tackle, and he's able to stay with it and make sure that he finds and locates the football. Once he takes that away, Saddleback is off to the races with their offense on the field.
So the backwards pass to Brandon Jones ends up going for a fumble, and Saddleback's going to take over for their first possession inside El Camino territory. They got the ball on the 38-yard line, and that's where Tyler Dutton's going to take over. Dutton takes the snap and rolls out to his right and gets this one off and complete. That pass was complete to Joseph Walter for a pickup of about 7 yards. You know, I spoke to both coaches before this game, and both coaches echoed the same thing, that both these teams are very, very similar. They both have a high-powered offense. They have opportunistic defenses. As Dutton takes the snap and hands this one off to Kayvon Clark, who slips a tackle out to the right side, and he's pushed out of bounds for a first down. Coach Gifford Lindheim, the coach of El Camino, said to me that one of his main concerns is keeping Tyler Dutton in the pocket. He wants to see Tyler Dutton not be able to make those plays with his feet, not just running the ball, but extending plays the way that he does. There's the handoff to Clark up the middle. A pickup of 3 for Kayvon Clark.
And the guys who are going to be crucial in doing exactly what you just mentioned will be Dayton Norris. He's going to be right up the middle, and sometimes they'll put him on the right side of the defensive line. That's actually where he's going to be slotted at right now on this drive. Dayton Norris so far, he's got 4.5 sacks along with 6 tackles for loss. He's also joined by Max Amasio with 4.5 sacks and 6.5 tackles for loss. Very physical defensive line.
Darian Campbell replaces Kayvon Clark in the backfield, and the pass goes to Campbell. Campbell fights his way forward before being pushed out, and it's going to bring up a 3rd down and 2. 3rd down and maybe 1. Knowing Coach Fisher the way that we do here on 3rd down and 1, they got 2 plays to make this, because there's no way he's not going to go for it if they don't get the 1 yard here. Dutton takes the snap, hands it off to Campbell. There's a huge hole. Campbell up the middle and into the end zone. Touchdown, Bobcats. Darian Campbell. His 2nd touchdown of the year.
And for Darian Campbell, it all starts with the offensive line. From left to right, that offensive line gave him a nice wide hole just off guard on the right-hand side. Lots of credit goes to Nicholas Brown, Tyrone Portis, Ryan Carby, Talani Ano, and Greg Shade from left to right on the offensive line. They open it up for him, and as soon as he's into the secondary, there is not going to be any catching him.
Maganda on for the extra point. It's up, and it is good. And you couldn't have asked for a better start for the Bobcats. They turn the ball over on defense and then take it right down and score a touchdown. And with 10 minutes, 25 seconds remaining here in the first quarter, it is 7-0 Saddleback.
And it's interesting, too, Matt, because you look at the first quarter for the Bobcats. They have continuously been very good in the first quarter. If you want to tack it up to the total of points that they have scored in the first quarter versus their opponents, so far this season, they have actually put up 100 points in the first quarter. Their opponents have put up 41. That's a 59-point differential between those two, between Saddleback and their opponents. The second quarter is also in favor of the Bobcats. So if you're looking at it, good starts have been the tail of the tape for the Bobcats so far this season, and it has continued to do so here.
So that ball falls off the tee, so going to put it back on. And we're going to have a kickoff here. El Camino going to see if they can respond. There's the kickoff. Going to be taking or going into the end zone, and it rolls through. And so it's going to be a touchback. And El Camino going to take over on offense.
And again, we mentioned earlier that we're going to have the out-of-town scoreboard kind of rolling throughout the entirety of the day. But we want to let you know that here on SportsNetUSA.net at 6 p.m., another game that will be huge in terms of playoff ramifications, that is East LA hosting Cerritos. You can watch that live here on SportsNetUSA.net as the Huskies will end up hosting the Falcons for the right for the Falcons to get into the playoffs.
Mauchard takes the snap and hands the ball off there up the middle, a pickup of 3. Second down and 8 for the Warriors. Mauchard looking downfield and stepping in front of that pass is Lucas Short. And he's taking this one back. He's going to go all the way. Touchdown! Another pick six. Number 6 on the season for the Bobcats.
Anticipation, anticipation, anticipation. That's the name of the game right there. He ends up getting over to it. That's Short again, like you just mentioned. Athletic play, but he finds where the route is going to go. Little pocket of space right about the 37-yard line. He steps in front of it, secures it with 2 hands, but you have to give a lot of credit to Omar Gonzalez. He recovers a fumble earlier, and here he's the lead blocker at the 21-yard line that sets the edge and allows him to get into the end zone. If you are Saddleback, a picture-perfect start to this game.
9 minutes, 52 seconds left in the first quarter, and it's already a 2-score lead for the Bobcats. We take a look at the replay. Mauchard was looking downfield, but Lucas Short just drifts back, steps in front of that one at the 40, and then you can see the blocking in front of him, and he just cruises into the end zone. 6 interceptions returned for touchdowns this year by the Bobcats. And it is hard for a team to stick with another team who's scoring points on their defense consistently.
Well, I mean, you look at the offense for El Camino. This is an offense, like you said, over 1,500 yards at quarterback from one guy, 600 yards from your backup. You've got 2 different running backs with over 700 yards and another one with over or near 300. This is an explosive offense for El Camino that can put up points. 45 points last week against Riverside. If you're El Camino, not only are you in shock at what is taking place, but you're looking at this Saddleback defense and saying, wait a minute, I thought they gave up more than what we are seeing so far.
Here comes the kickoff. This one's going to go into the end zone and through the end zone, and it's going to be another touchback. Yeah, I mean, coming into this game, both these teams came into this game averaging 39 points per game. So we knew that there was going to be some scoring in this game. The El Camino offense, you mentioned they've got some strong quarterback play, but that running game is really the staple of this offense. Fifth best running game in the state, and they came in averaging close to 250 yards rushing per game. And so far, the two mistakes that have been made through the passing game.
Yeah, and if you look at it, I mean, you see the fumble, right? That ends up going just behind the receiver. It's a difficult play for the running back coming out of the backfield to make a play on and make sure that he secures the football while moving up the field. On this one, it's a good throw to this near sideline, but the only issue is he locks in on the singular target. In doing so, that's what allows for Short to get over to the football and intercept it.
There's the handoff. And up the middle goes Jaden Moore. A pickup of 4 yards there. Dropping back to pass. That pass is incomplete. You're looking for Mark Baker. And a flag. Looked like there was a flag thrown.
Very late flag on the near side. It looked like there was a couple of Saddleback defensive players kind of mixed up with an El Camino offensive lineman.
We'll see what this call is.
There's no penalty for late hit out of the bounds. Whistle is not blown.
And they pick up the flag. Going to bring up a 3rd down and 6 for El Camino. Multiple 3rd downs in this game for El Camino. Moshart takes a snap, drops back to pass. He's looking downfield. He's got plenty of time. A good pocket. Gets that one away, and it is complete over the middle. Brandon Jones with the catch.
That's his primary target so far this season. 39 receptions, 628 yards. He also has 7 touchdowns. So if Saddleback is going to continue to stay with this El Camino offense, they've got to make sure that they don't allow for Brandon Jones to get into space.
And as you say that, Brandon Jones goes running off the field. There's the handoff up the middle. That's Jaden Moore. Pickup of 3 for Moore. And Moshart lined up at wide receiver. There's the snap. It was Nazarius Williams. Pickup of 2. So you can see El Camino trying to get that run game established here. Saddleback has been pretty good against the run game. Moshart back in the quarterback position. He's got Jaden Moore back there with him. He's got 4 wide receivers. Moshart drops back to pass. Gets this one away, but no one out there except for Roman Harden. Harden dives for it, unable to come up with it, but there was no receiver in sight.
That was just one of those, I'm going to toss it up, and if my receiver can catch up to it, good. If not, at least the ball is away from the line of scrimmage. And in this case, it's just a shade too far out in front of his intended guy.
I mean, basically, worst case scenario on there, Harden gets the interception, and it's like a punt.
Yeah.
Here they come punting. Roman Harden back deep to get the punt here. It's a low punt, bounces and rolls, takes a very good El Camino bounce, and the Bobcats are going to take over on their own 10-yard line.
here on sportsnetusa.net. As we change the possessions, we remind you that at 6 p.m. you can take a look at the East LA Huskies set to host the Cerritos Falcons, who had a huge win over Fullerton College last week on a last-second field goal. And also, just want to remind you that of the scores that are coming in from around the state right now, we start off with Fullerton College and Golden West. It's Fullerton 14, Golden West 13 as they enter the half there.
Golden West jumped out to a 13-0 lead in that game. There's the snap and the handoff to Campbell. Campbell bounces off one man, spins his way forward to about the 18-yard line, a pickup of 8 for Darian Campbell on first down. Tyler Dudden's got 3 wide receivers to his left side. He's got Darian Campbell in the backfield with him. There's the handoff to Campbell going to the right side, and Campbell's going to be brought down right at the line of scrimmage. And that sets up a 3rd down and short.
And I really think that Darian Campbell is going to be your X factor today. Yes, he already has the big rush for a touchdown, but with the defensive line looking to focus on Kayvon Clark, he has got to be able to step up and also get some explosive plays to take some of the pressure off of Clark and the pass game.
Dudden takes the snap, and there's another handoff to Campbell. Campbell goes up the middle, spins his way forward, got the first down and a whole lot more. And a pickup of about 10 by Darian Campbell going to bring up a first down for the Bobcats. Dudden going to roll to his left, gets this one off, looking for Francisco Martinez, but that pass was tipped. Looked like he had Martinez, but that pass tipped away at the last moment and falls incomplete.
Looked like it was Maurice Stepter who ends up getting his hand in on that play.
So it's a 2nd down and 10. Dudden takes a snap, lofts this one up for Gentilello. Actually, that was Walter over there, and a little bit out of Joseph Walter's reach. Joseph Walter, of course, 6'3", 200 pounds, big wide receiver who can go up and get it, but that was just a little bit too high for even Joseph Walter. So the first 3rd down of the game for the Bobcats, 3rd down and 10. Dudden's got 4 wide receivers. There's the snap. Looking downfield, gets that one away to Martinez. Martinez sits down at the 40, and it's a first down.
That's a really good route there by Martinez. He gets all the way up to the 40, like you said, but he stops and turns around because he finds where the sticks are first, and then he breaks off and makes that turn back towards Dudden. If not, you don't end up getting that first down.
So a big 3rd down conversion for the Bobcats as they continue to move. There's the snap and the handoff to Campbell. Campbell goes up the middle for a pickup of 3. We've seen a lot of Darian Campbell early in this game, a little bit less of Kayvon Clark. Of course, I'm sure we'll see both of them plenty in this game, but early on has been more Campbell than Clark. 2nd down and 7. 4 wide receivers for Dudden. Drops back to pass, gets this one away, and that's complete. Out across the 30-yard line to the 25, to the 20, pushed out at the 10-yard line. Kyle Bale. Big play for the Bobcats.
It's all about the placement of the football on this. It's just out in front of him. He's able to get to it, and he comes around the 30-yard line to get himself a little extra yardage, taking advantage of the momentum of the safety. And because he does that, he picks up at least an additional 15 to 20 yards.
So that's going to bring up a 1st and goal on the 9-yard line for the Bobcats. Too many men on the field for El Camino. We saw one sprint out the back of the end zone and another one trying to come off. And the Warriors call a timeout before that snap is taken.
And real quick, getting to some of the out-of-town scoreboards. Again, Fullerton 14, Golden West 13. Fullerton with back-to-back scores after Golden West took a 13-0 lead. Canyons is hosting Bakersfield. It is 10-0 there as Canyons has the lead through 2 quarters of play. Riverside City College, who has lost to both El Camino and Saddleback, is currently up by 10 over San Diego Mesa. That is just about to end the first quarter of play. And San Mateo and Laney. Now, San Mateo needs a victory in this one because there's a very real possibility because of a loss a couple of weeks ago that San Mateo can get into the playoff but not be a conference champion. But San Mateo needs to get a win, and decisively so against Laney. Most people believe and agree that they will be in either way, but a win will just continue to bolster their odds. Also finishing it up around California real quick as we take a look at Modesto and Siskiyous, or Modesto and Sequoias. That is a 7-7 tie as they finish the first, and then Butte and Sierra. Butte with a 7-0 lead over top of Sierra with about 5 minutes left to go in the first there.
So there's a flag on the field.
Prior to the charge timeout, number 1 of the defense charged for legal substitution for stepping out of the back of the end zone. That penalty is enforced. The ball will be placed at the 4.5-yard line.
So we saw that. I mentioned Brett James running out the back of the end zone, and he is penalized for that. It's going to be half the distance, and it's going to put the Bobcats a little bit closer, setting up a 1st and goal from the 5-yard line. So Dutton's got Darian Campbell. He's got Walter Martinez and Gentilella, his wide receivers. There's the handoff. Campbell into the end zone, but there are flags. And it's a touchdown. Illegal substitution touchdown for Darian Campbell. And the Bobcats in this game that we were expecting to be a shootout have jumped up by 3 touchdowns here with 4 minutes and 28 seconds remaining in the first quarter.
Shock, shock, and more shock. That's what you're seeing from the opposing sideline in El Camino. That's a very good football team, especially offensively. And that was a team that last week was actually trailing at one point 21-0 to Riverside and came back to win it and won it 45-42. So for El Camino, this is a very good team that can actually come from behind. So if you're Saddleback, yes, you're very happy with the way that this game has started. You have to be able to continue to get that success defensively and allow you to keep your momentum, let's say. Because, again, last week they're down 21-0 to Riverside. They come back and win it. So if you're Saddleback, the defense and those defensive backs have to continually be on it. Defensive line has been controlling the pace of play up front. And right now they're doing exactly what they wish to do on the defensive side of the football. And it's allowed for them to get the opportunities on offense.
Well, we might see El Camino get back into this, but this has been a continuation of what we've seen over the past 5 weeks. Last 5 weeks, Saddleback has outscored their opponents by a score of 215-85. Comes out to 43-17 in those 5 games. They have just been running roughshod over this conference and making it look really, really easy. And for the first 10 minutes and change of this game, it once again is looking really, really easy for the Bobcats.
And going back to what we were talking about earlier, coming into this game, they were outscoring their opponents 100-41 in the first quarter. Now you can add an additional 21 points on top of that. 121-41, 80-point plus-minus differential over top of their opponents in the first quarter. They've had a lot of success in getting early starts.
And it's hard to stay in a game when you're constantly playing from behind, which the Bobcat opponents have been doing. There's a handoff to Jaden Moore, and not much there. A pickup of about 3. And So we do see a man down. And it looked when I saw him roll over like it was Lucas Short, the man with the pick 6 earlier in this game. Short's able to get up and get off the field under his own power. Brings up a second down and 7. Moshart gets this one away, and it is complete to his wide receiver, or to Demonde Bias. The running back lined up at wide receiver. And a first down for the Warriors. 1st and 10 from the 39-yard line. There's the handoff to Bias. Bias out across the 40-yard line and brought down at the 43. Pickup of 4. Bringing up a second down and 6. So this is a really important drive for the Warriors. They're already down 3 touchdowns. There's the handoff up the middle.
Yeah, if you're El Camino, you're starting to get this sense, Matt, that if you don't at least get points on this drive, you're going to be in an insurmountable hole. And again, we mentioned last week they were down and trailing Riverside at one point, 21-0 in the early going. So they can come back, but they have got to get points if you're El Camino.
And they fake the handoff to Azion Nelson. Jaden Humphrey just comes flying in. You could see no one stepped in front of him, and he just had a clear path to the quarterback.
It just looked like a quick little delay there for Humphrey. He shows that he's going to stay back in coverage, then dives for the backfield, and there's really nothing that they can do. Now it's another punt for El Camino. And if you're Saddleback, you are thrilled with the way that this first quarter is going, and you have some time on the clock to get even more points.
Roman Harden back to get this punt. Moving back, gets it at about his 18. Makes a move around the side and steps out of bounds around the 35-yard line. And a nice punt return by Roman Harden. And pretty decent field position for the Bobcats. Their own 36-yard line, already leading this game by a score of 21-0. 2 minutes and 16 seconds left here in the first quarter. SportsNetUSA.net, Bobcat football. Bobcats looking to close up this conference, go undefeated, and head into the playoffs. Tyler Dudden with Darian Campbell in the backfield. Dudden's going to roll to his right, gets this one away, and it's low, but it is caught. Max Krosky with the reception.
You saw Krosky have a couple of nice catches last week to extend 2 drives. And he's kind of turned into that 3rd or 4th option for Tyler Dudden. Whenever he rolls out to his right, it's usually going to go over to Krosky.
Brings up a second down and 3. Dudden takes the snap, fakes the handoff to Campbell, and lots of pressure. Gets this one away. He was looking for Krosky again, but that pass falls incomplete. And it's going to bring up a 3rd and short.
He was being chased from behind by William Wright. Wright has 3.5 sacks this season, 4 tackles for loss.
There's the handoff to Campbell, and he is smashed in the backfield.
Immediately met there by Max Amasio, and that's going to be his 7.5 tackle for loss so far this season. So if you're El Camino, this is the way that you get your momentum back. Your defensive line has been a catalyst for success so far this season. Like we mentioned, you have 5 different guys with 3 or more sacks. You have 4 different guys with 5 or more tackles for loss. And you have to rely on them to get you success and get you momentum.
So it's going to be the first punt of the day for the Bobcats. And it takes a very nice bounce for the Bobcats. And the ball's going to stop rolling around the 14-yard line of the Warriors. And that's where El Camino is going to take over. So it's 1st and 10 for El Camino here on their own 14-yard line, trailing this game by a score of 21-0. There's the handoff to Moore. Moore fights his way forward and has a nice gain, breaks a couple tackles, and finally brought down at about the 32-yard line. A nice run by Jaden Moore. The best play of the game for the Warriors thus far. Moshart drops back to pass, looking down the sideline. He was looking for Nazareth Williams. Over his head and incomplete. There's a handoff to Moore and nothing there. He's going to be brought down in the backfield, a loss of 3. And that's going to be the final play of the first quarter.
Credit goes to Cooper Cirillo on that tackle on the far side. Ends up getting to the outside, sets the edge, and forces Moore to go back into a block.
So we are through 1 here at Saddleback College on SportsNetUSA.net. It is the Saddleback Bobcats 21 and the Warriors of El Camino with nothing in what is essentially a conference championship game. The winner of this conference goes on to the playoffs as the conference champion and possibly a bye week. We don't know how that's going to work itself out.
And to that point, it's all going to depend on what the Ventura College and Mount Sac game, how that ends up placing. If Ventura wins, they will be one of the top 2 seeds. And then Golden West and Fullerton, if Golden West wins, they will be the number 1 seed. So let's just say Golden West and Ventura win. They're going to be 1 and 2. They'll have the bye, and then Saddleback will slot in at 3 if the result stays the same from here. However, if let's just say Golden West and Ventura both lose, Saddleback is going to slot into one of those top 2 seeds, and they will find themselves with a bye and a chance to host throughout the postseason.
So it'll be very interesting. That's one of the reasons why Ryan keeps going to the scoreboard, because there is a lot that can happen with playoff implications. And that pass is intercepted. Take it back to the 20, to the 10. Brought down at the 2-yard line. Cohen Ali. 3rd turnover of the game for the Bobcats. And they are going to take it over just outside of the end zone with a chance to go up by 4 scores.
That's a tough one for El Camino, too, because you just got that stop. You just forced Saddleback's offense, which has been electric, to have to kick it away. You get the stop, you end up trying to march yourself upfield, and in this case, he sees pressure directly in front of him coming towards him. I believe it was Gavin Blum who was in on the pressure, and he just throws it over top. He's expecting a running back to be there, but there was really no one in the vicinity for that ball to go to.
So Tyler Dutton going to take over on the 3-yard line. He's got Jalen Beverly rushing in the backfield with him. There's the handoff to Beverly rushing, and nothing there. He's going to be brought down at the 5, a loss of 2. Jalen Beverly rushing had 2 rushing touchdowns last week. He has 4 on the year. A lot of rushing touchdowns for a guy who is essentially the 3rd back in this offense. So Dutton's got 4 wide receivers and Beverly rushing in the backfield. Dutton looking into the end zone, and he finds Walter. Touchdown! Joseph Walter walks into the end zone, and the Bobcats extend their lead. I call it the Abraham Lincoln. They're up by 4 scores.
And just like this defense for Saddleback, Matt, that was well played.
Thank you.
But
Extra point up and good. It's 28-0.
You look at just the way that Saddleback has been able to apply pressure defensively. The defensive line has been in there. They've also got a couple of tackles for loss by their defensive backs as well. The defense for Saddleback is getting the pressure in the backfield, and it's forced this El Camino offense into throws that they don't want to make, throws that they're not comfortable with. That defensive line and those defensive backs getting into the backfield has been the key, plain and simple, because they have forced El Camino into being uncomfortable. And right now the Warriors just haven't been able to adjust to what Saddleback's bringing on the defensive side of the football.
So 14 minutes, 5 seconds remaining here in the first half, and it is 28-0 Bobcats. They are just having their way with the Warriors. There's the kickoff, going to go, bounces at the 1. So they were going to let it roll into the end zone. And he picks it up and ends up with a really nice return, getting out to the 37-yard line. A flag comes flying in at the end that looked like it was going to go into the end zone. Then it almost looked like it was going to be disaster. And then a really nice return. And we'll see what the flag is.
And what happens a lot on those broken plays is that the team who's coming up to cover just kind of spreads themselves a little thin because they're going after the football.
So illegal block on the Warriors, and a lot of that big gain is going to be so we see a switch at quarterback. Evan Tomich, the sophomore, comes in. Tomich has seen plenty of action this season. Rough game for Andrew Moshart, who takes a seat for this drive. There's the handoff to Moore, who goes up the middle, and a nice pickup there on first down. Gain of about 6. Going to bring up a 2nd and 4. Tomich's first pass is complete out to the outside. That was Nazareth Williams with the reception. Nothing there for him on the catch, though. Brings up yet another 3rd down for the Warriors. Tomich has got more in the backfield with him. He's got 4 wide receivers. There's the snap and the handoff to Moore. Dodges one man in the backfield and gets a first down. A nice run.
And that was needed there for El Camino too, because Saddleback was bringing a lot of pressure on the outside. And if you're able to run it up the middle, it forces your opponent to have to respect that. So if you're El Camino, if you can set up your 2 top running backs to get some good rushes with space, it'll help you out.
That pass swung out to the outside to Brandon Jones. Short gain. Pickup of about 4 yards there. DeMonte Bias in at running back. Tomich drops back to pass, has a good pocket, gets that one away to Jones over the middle, and Brandon Jones takes that one across midfield to the Saddleback 48-yard line. And that's the first time they've crossed midfield in this game. So the offense getting a little bit of a boost with Evan Tomich coming in. Tomich hands that one off to Bias. Bias to the left side, pick up a 3 to the 45-yard line of the Bobcats.
Jack Knudsen ends up getting the tackle there. If you're a fan watching this Saddleback squad for the first time, the two biggest guys you have to pay attention to are going to be Orlando Gonzalez, who already has a fumble recovery and a key block on an interception return for a touchdown, and also Jack Knudsen, number 33 or 34 and 44. They are the keys for this Saddleback defense.
There's the handoff to Moore. He dances around in the backfield, able to pick up a yard, but that's it. It's going to be a 3rd down and 6. And you wonder if on the Bobcat side of the field, trailing by 4 touchdowns, is this 4-down territory? I would think that it would be. Tomich has Jaden Moore in the backfield with him. He's got 4 wide receivers, 3 to his right side, 1 to his left. There's a snap. He drops back to pass. Nice little move on the outside by Mark Baker, but Tomich's pass soars over his head.
Would have been a tough one, too, because Luganville was closing in on that one. And El Camino, they got some good yardage. Like you mentioned, they crossed midfield for the first time in this ballgame, but just can't extend the drive the way that they need to.
So they're going to bring on the punt team. Looked like he had a little trouble handling that snap. Taken at the 10-yard line and brought down right then and there by Malachi Pierce. So the Bobcats going to take over. 10 minutes, 32 seconds left in this first half. Bobcats lead by a score of 28-0.
Currently outside of Saddleback, it is still Canyons 10, Bakersfield at nothing. Riverside 13-7, they lead it over San Diego Mesa. And then as we were talking about earlier with that Northern California matchup, Butte and Sierra, it's Butte 14, Sierra 0.
Tyler Dudden takes the snap. He's going to roll to his right, looking downfield, gets this one away to Francisco Martinez. Martinez able to make the catch. Jonathan Bellamy with the tackle, but a first down there on the pass to Francisco Martinez.
And the mark of a good receiver is also being able to be aware of whether or not your quarterback is in trouble. He stops his route short and then comes towards the near sideline, just presenting an open option.
Dudden looked like he had a little trouble handling that snap, but gets it off to Francisco Martinez again. Short gain for Martinez. Pickup of 6, going to bring up a 2nd down and 4. There's the snap. Dudden has that pass deflected. And it's going to bring up a 3rd down. Third down and 4 for the Bobcats. Tyler Dudden's got 4 wide receivers, takes the snap, fakes the handoff to Beverly Rushing, gets that one out to Francisco Martinez again, and Martinez with another reception and another first down.
Martinez has turned into that guy that Dudden can rely on to get a first down if he needs it. Oftentimes on thirds, he's able to look over towards Martinez because he sees that Gentilella is drawing an extra an extra defensive back his way, and it's oftentimes leaving Martinez open.
So first down and 10, there's the snap and the handoff to Beverly Rushing. Beverly Rushing with a pickup of 5. I was talking to Coach Lindheim of El Camino down on the field before this game, and the word that he used to describe this Bobcats offense is efficient. And I think that that's the perfect word to describe them. It feels like there's just, 5, 6 yards on every single play, and it's just hard to stop this offense.
I mean, it helps when you have a couple of rushers who are averaging over 6 yards a carry. You also have Gentilella, who's averaging 17 yards a reception.
Dudden gets that one away, but nearly intercepted. Latrell Cannon stepped in front of that, but unable to corral it, and that was very close to going back the other way.
That's the first one we've seen from Dudden where he locked into his receiver before the pass was made, and it was easier for the defensive back to be able to undercut that because Dudden was so locked in on his option.
So it brings up a 3rd and 5 for the Bobcats. Dudden takes the snap, has plenty of time, and looks like that ball just came out awkwardly. He was looking for Walter, unable to hit him, and it brings up a 4th down. And so at first the offense was just kind of hanging around out there and looked like they were going to go for it. But Coach Fisher thinks better of it and brings out the punt team.
Well, we've seen it all season long. Coach Fisher is, like you said earlier, not shy about going for it on 4th down, and he's had a lot of success doing so. So it's kind of a guessing game on whether or not he wants to keep the offense out there because he has shown that he can be very successful in being aggressive.
Punt gets away. Fair catch called for and taken at the 22-yard line, 21-yard line. And that's where the Warriors will take over. Needing some kind of offense in this game. There's 8 minutes, 36 seconds remaining here in the first half, and the Bobcats lead this game by a score of 28-0. And it really hasn't been the Bobcat offense. You look up, you see 28-0, and you think, oh, their offense must really be clicking. 21 points off of turnovers. They had 1 kick return or punt interception return for a touchdown. They had a touchdown drive on a short field that was 40 yards. They had another touchdown on a 3-yard drive. So it's not really that they've been moving the ball all over the field. There's a completion to Jaden Moore for a few yards. It's more so the defense setting up the offense to just get some easy scores.
Yeah, and the defense has – it's interesting because you look at the offensive numbers for Saddleback. Over 400 yards of total offense, 200 yards of rushing each and every game.
There's Jaden Moore up the middle with a nice gain and a first down for the Warriors.
You look at it from a statistical standpoint and averages, and you say this team should just be led by their offense. Their defense has been getting better, but they're not one of the best teams in the state in terms of bringing down averages. In this game and in last game, they have done excellent in making sure that the opposing offense can't get into a rhythm.
There's Bias, has a huge hole. Flag comes out late after a 12-yard run by DeMonte Bias. And everyone walking back, so I think this one is on El Camino.
Holding. Offense from the 73. 10-yard penalty and spot on the foul. Remains first down.
So a hold on Jay Scott, freshman offensive lineman. Going to bring up a 1st and 19 here for Evan Tomic and the El Camino offense. Tomic drops back to pass, has plenty of time, gets this one away, and that pass is complete to Marcus Moore. They get the first down. It looked like that ball hung up there just a little bit, and this ball hawking defense was, I think they had the ball in sight but unable to get to it, and Marcus Moore comes up with the catch.
Yeah, that was Luganville who was coming in on that ball very quickly. You're going to see the quarterback go out to the far side.
That's the second time we've seen Nazareth Williams take a snap. Both times he ran the ball himself, picks up 4 there. Second down and 6. Tomic drops back to pass. Lots of pressure. Gets this one away. Looking for Bias. Hits Bias in the hands, but he's unable to bring it in. Jaden Humphrey over there on the coverage. Brings up yet another 3rd down. Third down and 6. Here comes the pressure. Tomic able to run away from it. He slides down, but he's going to slide down short of the first down. Looks like he had it, but he just slid before he got to the sticks.
Jaden Humphrey was actually coming in really hot from the far side of the field across the hash mark. So the reason why he goes into the side is because he could see that defender coming towards him. But the issue for him is that the ball is always placed where you begin your slide, not towards the end of it.
So here we go, 4th down and 3. Big play right here for the Warriors. Tomic has got Jaden Moore in the backfield, gets this pass away, complete, but all over him is the Bobcat defense. Pass complete to Bias, but he gets nothing, and it's a turnover on downs.
And in a play like that, you want it to kind of matriculate more towards you in the backfield. Stay patient and allow for the defensive ends to come in a little bit more, and the linebackers as well. And in this case, he tosses it out there just before those blocks had been set, and it's too late to be able to get anything going upfield.
So it's a turnover on downs, and the Bobcats take over in great field position at their own 45-yard line. We got just under 6 minutes left in this first half. Remember, the Bobcats are going to get the ball to start the second half. There's the handoff to Darian Campbell. He spins, keeps fighting, and he's still on his feet, pushing his way forward across midfield and across the 45, brought down for a first down, 11-yard pickup, but there are flags on the field.
Legal substitution, defense. Penalty is declined, results of play.
There's an illegal substitution penalty on El Camino. It's going to be declined, and the 11-yard run by Darian Campbell stands.
That's the 3rd of the game for El Camino.
So we saw Kayvon Clark take two carries in the first drive of this game, and he has not been back on the field since. I can see him standing down there with his helmet off. There's the handoff to Campbell, and once again, Campbell pushes his way forward for a nice gain. Pickup of 7 there.
And part of it is because Campbell is a little bit fresher. Remember that he didn't get some playing time until midway through the season. And Kayvon Clark, if you're watching a guy like Darian Campbell right now, Campbell is the hot hand, and especially in the first 2 series that Saddleback had, he had a touchdown, he had a couple of runs for over 10 yards. He has 2 in this game alone. This is a case where you just go to the more fresh legs in the last game of the season.
There's the snap, another handoff to Campbell, and once again, he just so hard to take down. He ends up losing a couple of yards there, but he looked like 2 or 3 tackles there before he finally went down. Darian Campbell, 55 yards and 2 touchdowns so far here in this game. Brings up a 3rd down and 6 on the 40-yard line of El Camino. Tyler Dudden takes a snap, drops back to pass. And there is that man again. Francisco Martinez makes the catch and has himself another 1st down.
Again, he's a guy that they can rely on consistently to get those 1st downs. It's easier, too, since he goes towards the slot, either left or right-hand side. Gentilella commands a lot of attention, and in this case, what you're going to see is later on in this one, if Saddleback needs it, Gentilella is actually going to be on a one-on-one situation now because they've gone to Martinez so many times.
5 receptions on the day for Francisco Martinez. 1st down, and there's the handoff to Basile. Basile breaks a couple tackles and picks up 4.
Number 96 takes the lead game for 1 play.
Andrew Russell loses his helmet for El Camino, is going to have to sit out 1 play. Second down and 6. Tyler Dudden takes the snap. Looking downfield, nothing there. He's going to roll to his right. Still looking downfield. He's going to keep this one, but not much there. Ends up losing a yard as he runs out of bounds. And like I said at the beginning of the game, Coach Lindheim said that one of the main things that El Camino wanted to do today was keep Tyler Dudden in the pocket, and they've actually been pretty successful with that. We have not seen him using his legs as much as we have in previous games this year. That was actually his first run of the game. Dudden takes the snap. There's the handoff. Up the middle, across the 15 to the 10, and brought down at the 8-yard line is Basile. Patrick Basile. Just a huge hole, and fights his way forward to the 8. So Patrick Basile, the 4th running back we've seen in this game. It's been mostly Darian Campbell, but we've seen Basile and Beverly Rushing come in. You wonder if it's a little bit more than just riding the hot hand with why Clark's not out there. There's Dutton. Dutton's going to keep this one, and he's into the end zone for a touchdown. 8th rushing touchdown of the season for Tyler Dutton. A flag comes out after the play.
And it should be an unsportsmanlike conduct because there was a little bit of a late hit from in behind. And again, it goes back to the option there. Amasio gets into the backfield and lays out the rusher in Basile. Dudden is able to go to that left-hand side because he sees Amasio take the first option, and it leaves him a wide open lane.
So that's 8 rushing touchdowns on the season for Tyler Dudden. Leads all rushers for the Bobcats. Kalik Johnson called for that unnecessary roughness. And with 1 minute, 57 seconds remaining here in the first half, extra point is up and good. The Bobcats lead this game by a score of 35-0.
Just an incredible showing by the Saddleback offense and defense. It seems like every single decision that they're making is working out for them. And as of right now, if the score remains the same, again, remember everyone that this is essentially the conference championship. Whoever wins this matchup between El Camino and Saddleback is going to end up as the conference champion and automatically get a berth into the postseason. Now,
and a home playoff game.
And a home playoff game. No, that's absolutely correct because of how good each of these two teams have been during the regular season. Again, El Camino wins or Saddleback wins, doesn't matter. They will get a home playoff game. It's a matter of whether or not they're going to get a bye. And as we're talking about earlier on in this one, speaking of the buys, they're going to be reliant on the scoreboard watching of that Ventura and Mount Sac matchup. That is going to be taking place way later on today. That's a 6 p.m. start, but they'll also be taking a look at a game here on sportsnetusa.net, which will also be a 6 p.m. start, as it will be East LA hosting Cerritos, because Cerritos got a big win over Fullerton last week, and they are slotting to possibly be one of those teams getting into the playoffs. So it's a potential team that either of these two squads can actually play in the postseason. And again, if Golden West, which currently is leading at 20-14, continues with that number over Fullerton and gets a win over Fullerton, Golden West would be number 1. If Ventura wins and Golden West wins, that's your 1 and your 2. And then for Saddleback, they're just hoping that one of those two teams loses and they get a win here today. That would put them at that 1 or 2 spot.
So we've got 1 minute, 57 seconds remaining here in the first half. Saddleback going to kick off. El Camino really wants to get something before we head to the locker room. Remember, the Bobcats are going to start with the ball in the second half. That kickoff goes straight through the end zone. Remember, they got an extra 15 yards on the kickoff because of that unsportsmanlike. There is a flag on the field.
Kind of in the spot that you would usually see in offsides. And they're talking to the El Camino sideline to see whether or not they want to accept or decline it.
So it is an offside. Extra 5 yards for El Camino. They're going to start with the ball on their 30-yard line, trailing this game by 5 touchdowns. Tomic gets that one off. Complete to Moore. And Jaden Moore having himself a nice little game for El Camino.
If El Camino is going to get back into this one, they've got to have their best players get into space. You want it to go to Moore.
There's the pass, complete. Brought down inbounds was Mark Baker.
And Brandon Jones. Those are the two guys you need to get into open space. So if you have to scheme towards that, if you have to get balls out into the flat, whatever you can do to get them into open space.
Tomic looking over the middle and nearly intercepted. Orlando Gonzalez went up, had both hands on that ball, but unable to bring it in.
So far in this game, Gonzalez has recovered a fumble, set a key block, and has 2 pass breakups, in addition to 2 tackles. That's a pretty good afternoon so far.
Absolutely. Big play here for Tomic. There's the snap. It's low, but Tomic able to handle it. Gets this one away. He's got a man, unable to connect with him. He was looking for Tristan Thomas. Luganbill was there on the coverage. Brings up a 4th down. Warriors are going to go ahead and go for this. They're on midfield. There's a minute 15 seconds left on the clock. If they don't convert here, could be enough time, will be enough time for the Bobcats to go back and score again. Tomic gets this one away. Luganbill there on the coverage and knocks it down, and it's going to be a turnover on downs. There is a flag.
And it will go against the offense. Oh, excuse me, I take that back.
Dominic Lopez called for roughing the passer.
So initially the official pointed at the offense, then brought it back, talked to the Saddleback sideline, and finally, like you said, Dominic Lopez gets that roughing the passer penalty. And again, it just shows just how often Saddleback has been in the backfield. But that's a tough one too, especially since it's on 4th down. It gives extra life to this El Camino offense.
Tomic back to pass, gets this one away. That one is complete. That's Jones. Brandon Jones going to take this one out of bounds. And a first down for Brandon Jones, pickup of 11 yards. El Camino really wants to get on the scoreboard before the half. Tomic. And that ball is fumbled.
So Tomic goes to hand it off, and it looked like it was going to be in the hands of Jaden Moore, but the fumble happens because the handoff isn't clean. Tomic was trying to give it up to Moore. Moore was trying to take the ball away. At the same time, there was some indecisiveness between those two, and the ball hits the deck, and there were already 3 Bobcats right on top of it before anyone knew what happened.
So Bobcats get their 4th turnover of the game. They lead this game by a score of 35-0. There's 58 seconds left till the half. Bobcats still have 3 timeouts, so if they decide they want to try and score here, they absolutely have enough time. Tyler Dudden not setting up in victory formation, so they're going to try and get on the board one more time before the half. Dudden takes the snap, looking downfield, gets that one complete. That's Gentilella with his first catch of the game, and Gentilella goes out of bounds.
And in this case, since you do have just a shade under a minute and you have an electric offense, in addition to having 3 timeouts left here in the first half, it's a wise decision to go after it because you can really put this game away and make it possibly 42-0 before the half.
Dudden gets this one away to Martinez. Martinez dragged down from behind. Another first down on a reception from Martinez, but if he was able to get away from that tackle, he had some good yardage there and would have been able to step out of bounds afterwards. Instead, Saddleback's going to have to use one of those 3 timeouts.
Real quick, taking a look at out of town, Golden West and Fullerton. It is 20-14. Golden West with the lead, and they have just entered the 4th quarter, and Golden West has the ball. So the Rustlers right now, if the score remains the same, will end up as the number 1 seed in Southern California, and one of the positions that could possibly be there for either Saddleback or El Camino will end up going away. So again, Golden West 20, Fullerton 14 as they are in the 4th quarter there, and Golden West is trying to hang on to that score, and they would become the number 1 seed in Southern California. And also, not being said here, they would knock Fullerton out of the playoffs completely.
So it's a big game there. It has implications throughout Southern California. Tyler Dudden takes the snap, gets this one away. That pass is thrown behind Kyle Bale. There is a flag. Might have been a hold. Bobcats moving backwards. It was Anthony Hastings called for the hold. Going to push it back to a first down and 20. There's still 40 seconds left on the clock. 2 timeouts for the Bobcats. Dudden takes the snap. Gets this one away to Martinez. Crossing the field. Martinez tried to gain some extra yards. Probably should have stepped out of bounds there. 7th reception of the game for Francisco Martinez.
It's all about priority list here, because in this case, he was trying to get a couple of extra yards, which is good because, once again, you're trying to move the ball up the field. However, you have to weigh the cost. And the cost is that because he doesn't step out of bounds, you have to burn another timeout. And for Saddleback, they did have the 3 coming into this drive, so they do have that option to go to it. But in this case, for Martinez, like you said, it would have been good if you're a Saddleback fan if he just takes that extra step, goes to the sideline, and kind of lets himself get to the sideline to stop the clock.
So it's going to bring up a 2nd down and long. We got 29 seconds remaining here in the first half. Ball on the Saddleback 37-yard line, 38-yard line. They got a ways to go to get into field goal range. Only 1 timeout in their pocket. And Dutton's just going to hand this one off to Darian Campbell. And the Bobcats are going to be content to go into the locker room with a 5-score lead. So we watch the clock tick down to 0 to end the first half. We are through 1 here at Saddleback College on sportsnetusa.net. It is the Saddleback Bobcats 35. Oh, they're going to, no, they're not. As I was saying, at the half, it is 35, Saddleback 35, El Camino nothing.
from right about the 27, we'll say. Clock ticking down to under 14 and a half to play in the third quarter. Just underway here in the second half. Ryan Osborn on the air with you. Snap goes back. This is going to go from Tomic over towards the left-hand side, where it will be deflected by Luganville, and Luganville gets his hands on it, but we have a flag as it will be an offside against the Saddleback defense.
5-yard penalty. Remains second down.
And Ryan, you were mentioning Cerritos. Their final game, as you mentioned, against East LA, and ELAC really hasn't been playing well this year, so it's going to be very tough for ELAC, even though they're at home at Weingart, to upset Cerritos, because Cerritos is probably thinking, hey, we are in the driver's seat. We're into the playoffs.
Yeah, and you look at East LA, their only 2 wins so far this season have come against Santa Ana and Orange Coast. And, of course, both of those 2 teams have had a really rough go of it so far in 2025. Last handoff ended up going to DeMonte Bias. He gains 2, so it's a 3rd down and 3.
And I remember, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, we did an ELAC Cerritos game. Cerritos was the favorite. ELAC came and upset them. And that's what ELAC needs tonight. But it's going to be a really high mountain to climb.
Ball goes back to Tomic. He's going to look over to his left, nearly intercepted. It's picked up by Brandon Jones. He's going to get the first down. Nice job there by Jones to get the football and get out towards the hash mark, out to the first down marker. And he gets his way past the 36-yard line, which will allow for El Camino to get their first down of the second half. Ball goes back, another run opportunity. This time it's going to be for Jaden Moore. And for Moore, he will end up finding his way through 3. He ends up with a 6-yard gain. They'll give him 7. So ball is over at the 43-yard line, going from right to left for El Camino. Tomic over to his right. That one is deflected away. It is not a lateral, I don't believe. It is. Saddleback will get the ball back. So just like that, it ends up being a backwards pass and another turnover, the second one on a backwards pass of the day for El Camino. And for Saddleback, that is yet another opportunity for the Bobcats to take over on an unforced opportunity, or an unforced error by El Camino's offense. So the offense for Saddleback comes back onto the field. And they're going to bring out Tyler Dudden. And Dudden, again, has been excellent in this one. He's got a couple of passing touchdowns, and he has the opportunity to really put this one away with a good drive. Dudden with Campbell in the backfield. He's going to take the snap, and flags come flying in. So it looks like we may get a false start here. 12:31 on the clock here in the third quarter. Yards go marching back. It is indeed a false start against the offense here, and that will go against Talani Ano. You have to give a lot of credit to Nicholas Brown, Tyrone Portis, Ryan Carby, Talani Ano, and Greg Shade from left to right, as they have performed fantastically for this offense and making sure that there is a lot of open space for everyone to deal with. 2 receivers on the right-hand side. This one is going to go to Campbell. No, it's faked. It goes back to Dudden. Dudden with the pass, and it's going to go out of play, far side. Dudden just trying to get that one away from him as he was facing a lot of heavy pressure. So Gentilella is going to line up on that far side, left-hand side of the offense. In the slot on the right-hand side is Francisco Martinez, along with Walter on the near. In the backfield is going to be Darian Campbell. Campbell with 2 touchdowns in this game, and he also has a couple of runs of 10 or 15 more. This one goes to Campbell. Campbell gets taken down, and that's a big play there for Amacio and the defensive line for El Camino.
Loss of 4 on the play, 3rd down now and 19.
Dutton back in. They switch Martinez over towards the left-hand side. Near side of the field is Bale and Walter. Far side, Gentilella and Martinez going from out to in. Darian Campbell in the backfield, relaxed set. Here's Dutton. He's going to step up. He's got some space at the 45, trying to get to the 46, make it the 44. He ends up getting marked down at the 46. And on the left-hand side, it will end up forcing El Camino to find themselves in a punt return situation. So Saddleback's opening play of the second half ends up going for over 80 yards and a touchdown. They end up punting on this one, and for El Camino, they are still looking for their first points of this game. And again, this is an El Camino team that has led the conference for a majority of the season to this point. A very good El Camino team that has wins over Riverside and was looking to get one here today, as this one is returned for short yardage, goes to the 20-yard line where it will be marked down, and a 1st and 10 coming up for the Warriors as they try and get themselves back on the board. You're watching Saddleback football here on SportsNetUSA.net. Ryan Osborn, Ed Ford. Over to my left is Wade Donahoe as we are into this third quarter. A 42-0 lead for the Bobcats over top of the El Camino Warriors. Handoff ends up going to Jaden Moore, and Moore is going to get caught by Averill right at the line of scrimmage. They'll give him 1.5 yards, make it just a yard, and it's 2nd down and 9 to go from the 21-yard line. Plenty of scoreboard watching for those who are on the broadcast or in the crowd. But for everything that Saddleback has put together on offense and defense in this one, they won't really have to watch the scoreboard because they are doing exactly what they need to get themselves into the postseason. Excellent job there by Jaden Humphrey as he gets into the backfield to take down Jaden Moore.
Ruling on the field is runners down by contact.
We'll switch up here defensively for Saddleback.
Loss of 1 yard on the play.
10-12 left to go in the fourth quarter of play, or excuse me, the third quarter of play between Saddleback and El Camino. Near side of the offense is Mark Baker in the slot on the near side as well. Looks like Jones. Ball goes back. Here's Tomic. He's looking. He's firing. Looking for the near side to Baker, and Baker is going to see that go just past his outstretched hand. Ball was hanging up there for a while, and it just doesn't end up going the way that they needed to, so a punt will be coming up. Christian Miranda will end up kicking this one away. Actually, excuse me, it is Lorenzo Chavez-Borelli. Chavez-Borelli is averaging about 31.6 yards per kick. .950 on the clock. Saddleback showing a little bit of pressure. They're going to send more than 2. Nearly gets a piece of it. There is Roman Harden, who is normally the one back there returning kicks. And in this case, this one gets away, and it will be just a little over 20 yards on that one, as it will be placed down at the 43-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Saddleback Bobcats as they look to extend their 42-0 lead. You're watching Saddleback Bobcat football here on SportsNetUSA.net. As the offense comes back out onto the field, you take a look at Saddleback in their 2nd straight game in their alternate black uniforms with gold numerals and then accented in the crimson or scarlet, red if you will, maroon even. Snap is taken. Tyler Dutton rolling to his right. He's going to launch it over top to Bale. Bale can't catch up to it as that one was a little too far out in front of him.
Coverage for the Warriors by Curtis Williams.
Defensively, Max Amacio has had a good afternoon for El Camino. He's been getting into the backfield, not quite as at will as he would have liked, but he has been there. Tyler Dudden is the quarterback for the Bobcats. Near side of the field is Walter. Far side is Gentilella. It's a handoff to Darian Campbell, who goes right up the middle. He'll get 1, 2, and 3 yards, and he'll be marked down at the 39-yard line of El Camino. So that's going to bring up a 3rd down and just about 7. Yard to gain will end up being the 32. All placed on the left hash mark. Walter on the near side. Far side looks initially like Gage Galbraith, or make that Max Krosky. Gentilella on the near side in the slot, make that Bale. Darian Campbell in the backfield. Snap is taken. Going back is Dudden. He's going to launch it. He's got Bale open, and it's caught at the 10-yard line. He's going to be marked down at the 7. That's the second pass for over 30 yards that has gone to Bale, and he has found himself with an excellent 3 receptions in this game, and he sets up Saddleback well for yet another score. So this Saddleback offense has been opportunistic when they have needed to be. Walter will take over on the near side of the field out wide. In the slot on the left will be Francisco Martinez. Far side will be Krosky. Now in the backfield will be Clark. 6 down lineman. Here's a chance for Clark. That ball is on the floor, and El Camino has it.
Ball's on the turf. El Camino.
Recovery for the Warriors, so a big play for Saddleback, and immediately it goes right back to the Warriors. So for El Camino, they have got to be able to get themselves some momentum, and that is how you do so. You take the ball away, and you have an opportunity with 8:11 on the clock to be able to get yourself down the field, but your drive will start at the 10-yard line. So they need to go 90 yards downfield. Near side of the field will be Baker. And Brandon Jones will be in the slot on the far side. 3 receivers far side. DeMonte Bias is in the backfield directly behind Tomic. Handoff is taken, given up, and it will end up going into the hands of Bias, and he gets a total of 5. They actually switch from Evan Tomic, and they'll bring back Mauchart. And Andrew Mauchart, with his 60% completion rate, he had a very tough opening half. And he's going to drop back to pass. He's looking for someone. Looks down the near side of the field. He will end up finding a receiver. That's going to be Baker. And I believe he got the first down. We'll see what the officials say. They have him down at the 20-yard line, which was the line to gain.
They'll call it a first down.
They will give it a first down.
And Ryan, Saddleback has to be, they have a huge lead, we know that, 42-0, but they still have to be careful on their tackling. They need to make sure they wrap up, stop the man, and not go for the highlight reel tackles.
Here's a handoff. That's going to go to Azion Nelson. Nelson gets past the first couple, and he will end up finding his way to the 31. So just what you were talking about, Ed, they need to be able to wrap up. They don't do so there. He breaks 3 different tackles on a 10-yard run, and now it's a first down for El Camino.
And Moore did that a couple of times for El Camino in the first half.
Marcus Moore lined up on the near side. Mauchart, he's going to take a shot down the right, looking for Brandon Jones, and it's going to be too far out in front of him. Luganville was in on the coverage there, and that ball is incomplete. We have a final from Fullerton College where Golden West will end up with a 33-22 win. They knock Fullerton College out of the playoff picture, and Golden West will be the #1 seed in Southern California. Mauchart looking over to his right, looking for a receiver, and that will be pass interference. About as blatant of pass interference as you can get, not allowing the receiver to get back into his route on the far side of the field, and it looked like back on the coverage there was Eamon Carter.
I'm not sure Carter was, I think why he got called, because he wasn't really paying attention to the ball at all.
Yeah, it seemed like everyone was kind of surprised that the snap went back, and Mauchart was the only one who really had a beat on whether or not that play was happening.
There are 2 fouls on the play, both on the defense.
So 2 penalties on Saddleback, offsides and pass interference. 1 is declined, the other is enforced. And it will be a first down and 10 from the 45-yard line. Handoff goes to Nelson. Nelson's going to take it off tackle on the right, and he will actually lose a half a yard, and it will be a second down and close to 11 from the 44-yard line.
And good team tackling there, Ryan, swarming tackling by the Bobcats. And that's what they need to do for the rest of the game. Yeah, you have a 42-0 game, you lead, but I think some people, old as I can, remember that Houston-Buffalo game that's legendary.
Always an opportunity, especially in the 3C 2A. We have seen 31-point comebacks in the last 10 years. Now, of course, if El Camino is going to get a win here, they're going to have to be mistake-free. They cannot have something like that happen, as that ball ends up being dropped by Mouchart. And that was a little trickery there by El Camino as they were trying to catch the defensive backing core for Saddleback moving up on the play. And instead, it ends up as a loss of 13 yards.
Very dangerous. That could have been Saddleback's ball, and they'd be knocking on the door again to make it 49.
On 4 separate occasions, Saddleback has started an offensive drive inside of El Camino's own 40. Here's Mouchart. He's stepping up. He's looking. He's going to launch. Middle of the field. He's got a guy that is caught, and it is reeled in by Nazareth Williams. So the big play that they were looking for just a moment ago on that toss that ends up going awry is exactly what they find here by Nazareth Williams. Multiple times we've seen Nazareth Williams line up in the quarterback spot and take almost a Wildcats type of snap and rush it himself. In this case, it's just Mouchart just launching it downfield. He finds Williams, and it's caught inside the 10-yard line. This is the first time all day that El Camino has been in the red zone. Here's Nazareth Williams. He's going to show a handoff. He does, in fact, give it up to Jaden Moore. And Moore is stopped right at the line of scrimmage for no gain.
And Ryan, if I would have told you before the game, El Camino will not get into the red zone in the first half, you'd probably say, Ed, you don't know anything about this sport.
Yeah, it's kind of a shock to both sides, too, especially with how well El Camino's offense had performed over the last 2 weeks, and they're going to get a touchdown here. Jaden Moore is in the end zone. El Camino is on the board for the first time in this one, and Saddleback's defense can only watch, as that's a difficult one for that defensive line. They try and get into the backfield. Jaden Moore just goes off tackle on the left, and he finds himself in the end zone. So will we see El Camino go to a 2-point conversion? Now remember, the rest of the way, with 4:27 left to go in the third quarter, they have got to get points any way that they can have them, and they decide in this case that they're going to go up and kick this one away.
I'd have to go with you, Ryan, if that's what you're thinking. I'd go for 2 points. At this point, as you said, you've got to get as many points as possible. Kicking a 1-point conversion, you need everything you can get.
It's kind of a no-loss situation if you do go for it, because if you go for it and you get it, now you add a couple of extra points to your resume. If you don't, well, you're currently down. You already know that your work is going to be cut out for you. 1 point is not going to change that.
Right. And also, there's also that thing about when teams score 2-point conversions, it's a big boost for everybody on the team. It gives you more momentum. It makes you feel like, hey, we went for it and we did it. We can keep this going.
So El Camino gets their first score of the game. This drive started because of a turnover by Saddleback at the 10-yard line. So they march 90 yards downfield and end up with a touchdown. Another final from across California. Here in Southern California, it's Canyon 17, Bakersfield 10. Then going back up to Northern California, Modesto and Sequoias, it's 23-13. Modesto with the lead with 12 minutes to go in the third. And Butte and Sierra, 17-14. Butte with a 3-point lead and under 4 minutes to play in the third there. 4:27 on the clock here at Saddleback as El Camino is on the board for the first time in this one. 42-7 is our score. Bobcats look to kick it away. Will be an onside kick that goes up to the 50, and it is picked up successfully there by Devontae Holmes. And Holmes is going to go down immediately and securing the football, making sure that he's got it to give his offense another shot. At the 45-yard line is Holmes, and that's where the drive will start for Saddleback.
You know, Ryan, coming into this game after Bobcats started building a lead, it started to make me think about something similar to this happened last year. El Camino was rolling along. They beat Ventura handily, crushed them. Then they went up against Allen Hancock, a team they should have beat last year, and they lost big time. They still made it in the playoffs, but then Mount Sac paddled their bottoms.
Here's Clark on the far side. For Kevon Clark, he's going to get to the 50-yard line, and he will step out of bounds. Yeah, it's interesting, too, because you look at El Camino, they have 2 solid wins, especially in their last matchup. You go down 21-0 to Riverside, and then you come back and you're able to win that game 45-42 in a shootout in the second half. And then you come out today with the football to start. The offense gets a chance to get rolling. And what happens? They give up the football on their very first drive. Then they give it up on their second drive. And they just couldn't get anything going. And it felt like every single time they went up there to go and start their offense up, something would happen. And they give the ball away on almost unforced errors. Stepping in will be Nicky Johnson as he will take over on offense for the Saddleback Bobcats. For Johnson so far this season, he's 51 of 90. He has 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So the change at quarterback represents a change overall for this Bobcats offense. Nicky Johnson started the season as the starter, and then as time has gone along, has shared time with Tyler Dudden. An offense that has produced just a little over 39 points per game. Clark, off left tackle, is going to take it. He gets taken down at the 47-yard line. Only a gain of 2, and it will make it a 3rd and 8.
And Ryan, Saddleback, the last 2 games, has faced opponents that were in contention to not only make a bowl game, but to be in the playoffs. Southwestern was easily handled, and that's what the Bobcats are doing with El Camino. So sort of the El Camino Warriors and Southwestern kind of ran out of gas in an important game.
Yeah, it's interesting, too, when you look at Southwestern, because they were ranked number 5 at one point in the state of California. They were 6-0 as Nicky Johnson is going to be taken down here, and that should be a loss of, we'll call it 11 yards. And he'll be taken down. I believe they're going to spot it at the 36-yard line. And it will be a punt coming up for the Bobcats. But again, for Southwestern, they looked good. Their offense was top 15 in the state of California. They had a defense that was scoring points as well. Then they came over here. Well, they had a loss the previous week just before they ended up facing Saddleback. They come over here to Saddleback, and it was a chance for them to get back into the win column. And they looked like a team that was in the bottom half of the standings. They just couldn't get anything going against Saddleback as this one is kicked away. Ranging on back for it, El Camino is going to have an opportunity to start at just inside the 40, make it the 45. And that ball is taken up to the left where El Camino will take it. Injury timeout here coming up over at the 40-yard line.
And Ryan, to continue with that theme, where you mentioned Southwestern beginning of the year, had great stats, they were winning. Also Monterey Peninsula was in the same position, was kind of like 2 surprise teams that used to be American Division teams, and suddenly, but Monterey was a very good American Division team. And I guess 10 years ago, Southwestern was a good American Division team, or 7 to 6 years ago. But suddenly, both those teams were gangbusters starts for the season. They look like they're the real deal, and then all of a sudden, as Corey said, they both just poof. They blew a head gasket, and
And you were getting
not happening.
a lot of people around the 3C2A who are looking at those teams as playoff teams. They were starting to project them as getting to the end of the season with conference titles or a chance at conference titles, and that goes away very quickly. Now you turn it around and look at El Camino, and it's like you said, you look at El Camino coming into this one. They look good. They're on a roll. They come into this one, they face Saddleback, and they can't get anything going. And if you're watching El Camino for the first time all season in this game, it's not representative of how they have played throughout the year. It's been very different. Unfortunately, right now, as we have a injury timeout on the field, kind of a scary situation on the right-hand side. But Saddleback and El Camino play for the right to win their conference championship, to get into the postseason. And if you're an El Camino fan, you're watching this going, okay, are we in a spot where we got beat bad enough to not make it to the postseason? Because that's the other thing too, Ed, is that a lot of this is going to come down to not only power points, but rankings overall. And the question will be, if El Camino had played this game to 1 score or 2 score and loses the conference championship, they probably would have just been looked at as this is the next best team to pop right into the state playoffs. But the way that they have performed in this one, you're starting to think of it as, well, they're losing arguments to get into the final 2 or 3 seeds.
Yes, I'd have to agree with that. It's going to be tough with a loss this, especially if Saddleback scores a couple more touchdowns, and it just looks like some sort of blowout against a team that's like 3-6 on the year.
Fake the handoff. That one gets deflected twice, goes off of Ross's hands, and it will go to the floor. So ball stays at the 49-yard line of El Camino as they are trying to get some more points on the board. They need it as they are currently trailing it by a score of 42-7. So if they are going to get back into this one, they need at least 5 touchdowns. That's the way that it's going to go the rest of the way. El Camino cannot afford to not get scores on their next possessions. Here's a chance, a handoff on the right-hand side to DeMonte Bias, and Bias is going to be taken down. Good tackle there in the backfield. It looked like it was Knudsen who was there to make the stop, and that will be a total loss of 3. So
and Ryan, those scores you were mentioning are important because if you can get this game closer and the scoring looks a little better, at least El Camino will be thought of in the selection committee as, hey, they put up a good fight. You know, if they don't look at the game carefully, that can happen.
Toss down the middle. That goes off the hands of Tristan Thomas, and it will go incomplete. So a punt coming up for El Camino is what it seems like. And it's like you said, Ed, for, let's say, coaches or the selection committee that's looking at every team in California. There's a lot of teams in California, and it's just like a teacher or an instructor will always tell you, yes, they love to grade everyone's papers, but sometimes you just look at a paper and you say, you know what, that's got to be. If you look at this overall score and El Camino is able to make it a little closer, sometimes the selection committee will look at it and say they're a close team, they've faced a very good Saddleback squad, and they deserve to be there just because they made it competitive.
Rolls into the end zone, touchback.
So touchback here as that one is kicked away, and Saddleback is going to take over with just under a minute to play in the 3rd quarter. You are watching Saddleback football here on SportsNetUSA.net. Don't forget, here on SportsNetUSA.net at 6 p.m., we're going to have a matchup that is going to be crucial to the way that Southern California will shake out. That is East LA hosting Cerritos. That is a 6 p.m. start there. Again, East LA hosting Cerritos. And Cerritos, with a win, will find themselves in the playoffs, which is a situation that they did not think they would be in just a week and a half ago. But a big win over Fullerton and a chance to win against East LA today, and they find themselves in the postseason. Here's Darian Campbell, handoff on the right-hand side. He's going to get at least 15, make it 20, all the way up to the 40-yard line.
Nice 20-yard scamper there. And Ryan, you talk about some other games that have a lot of playoff implications. Up north, you have Butte that was sailing along, but they get upset. Now they've got to decide whether they win their conference against Sierra, and it's a tight game. I think it's 17-14 right now.
Yeah, it's a 3-point difference with 2 minutes to play in the third quarter. As this one is nearly intercepted on the near side of the field. Nice job of getting a hand on it there. Ended up being Curtis Williams.
And that'll be if Sierra comes back and wins that. I don't think their record would either be 500 or they would be 4-6, and that's just going to destroy Butte's chance to be in the playoffs at all. They'll be knocked out totally. They won't get any consideration.
You're absolutely correct, Ed. They would, in fact, be a 4-6 team, and if I remember correctly, they would own the tiebreaker over the two teams that have a better overall record. So they could, if I'm not mistaken, they could win the conference championship with a win over Butte.
Right. They would win the conference championship if they beat Butte. And they'd be 4-6, and supposedly sub-500 teams don't make the playoffs. But if you win the conference, that's the exception.
That's the end of the third quarter.
So end of the third quarter here as we go with a 42-7 lead. The Bobcats with a big-time advantage over top of El Camino. We're going to start the fourth in just a second. You are watching Saddleback Football here on Sportsnet, USA.net. And right now we're going over the playoff picture across not only Southern California, but the state of California. And you also have to go and look back at a result that happened yesterday. Diablo Valley ends up getting a win over San Francisco, and Diablo Valley finishes their season with a 9-1 record, 4-1 in conference, and they go 34-21, handily taking down San Francisco. Diablo Valley wins their conference, and San Francisco, there's an argument to be made that they may not make the playoff because San Mateo is about to, what looks like, seems like, close out on a victory over top of Laney if the score remains the same. They are up 31-13 at the moment.
Yeah, that one, Ryan, is something. I mean, City College of San Francisco upsets San Mateo. And then San Mateo beats Diablo Valley earlier in the year. And then Diablo Valley comes along and beats City College of San Francisco. So they all can end up with one loss in their conference, but I would assume that San Mateo is going to get the because of their RPI or whatever, they will be the top team.
Yeah, what I was seeing from the SCFA is that their specific tiebreakers were power ranking, as this is going to be taken by Nicky Johnson. Johnson on his own option, he'll call his own number, get all the way down to the 31-yard line. El Camino fans not thrilled about that one from the defense as they end up giving up some chunk yardage here once more. And Nicky Johnson is going to see himself go all the way to the 31-yard line of El Camino, and Saddleback is right back in it with a 1st and 10. But the SCFA said that head-to-head was the #1 tiebreaker, which is usually always the case. But right after that, they said that it would be the rankings followed by the power index. So rankings overall followed by power index. That's what the SCFA had. Now, it may be different in Northern California, but let's just say it's the same. You're going to look at San Mateo as the team to beat. Here's Darian Campbell trying to run through a guy. He's going to end up seeing a holding call against Gentilella bring this back a little bit, but it will go as a run for a 1st down. Fans here at Saddleback voicing their displeasure at the call. But on the left-hand side, Campbell kind of reverses his position, goes towards the left. You see Gentilella take down his guy, and that's where the foul is, or the penalty flag is going to fly in.
Did he really take him down?
Personal foul, face mask.
Oh, okay.
15-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Replay the down.
No replay.
That might make some sense. Let's see if we can see that face masking on the play.
When it's all sorted out.
Oh, right at the start of that replay.
Yeah.
He ends up getting his hands right in on the face. And
So that was a good call by the Stripes. They had it right. Despite our fan that is very loud.
1st and 10 at the 20-yard line for Saddleback. They're trying to put this one away with a score. 13:30 on the clock. No rush to get up to the line of scrimmage for the Bobcats. Nicky Johnson with the ball. He's going to drop back, take a look over to his right, looking for Francisco Martinez, and the pass is deflected away. Fans here don't love the non-call, and they will see that ball go to the floor.
That's Jonathan Bellamy.
Jonathan Bellamy is the one who is in on the pass breakup. That is his 5th of the season. Right side of the offense is Max Krosky. Near side is Pierce. Darian Campbell in the backfield. He's going to get the handoff, get past 2. They'll call it 4 yards, give him 5. And it will be a 3rd down and 5 to go from the 16-yard line.
And Ryan, another thing we talked about is up north, if they have the same amount of bowl games that we do and they divide them the same way with American and National Division, there really aren't enough teams for them to play all those bowl games in the north. Not if you use that 500 rule. It's just not going to work. They only have 4 or 5 teams.
Toss on the right side to Martinez. Martinez takes a shot, but he is still able to get the ball. No flag there as there was calls for a late hit at the sideline. Martinez looking for the flag. He doesn't end up getting the benefit of one. And that ball will be placed for a 1st down at the 9-yard line. So a 1st down and goal to go for Saddleback. Right side of the offense is Krosky. 3 on the near side, Pierce, Martinez, and Gentilella. The last 2 in the slot. Darian Campbell is in the backfield to the right hip of Nicky Johnson. Campbell gets the handoff, looking for his 3rd touchdown of the day. Can't get to the goal line as he'll be stopped at the 4-yard line. And it's a 2nd and goal to go from the 4.
Because it looks like if Monterey would lose to Sacramento City, then Sacramento City would have a 500 record, Monterey. So there you have 2 teams. Fresno can be a bowl team. So that's 3. And Foothill has to win to get to 500 to be a bowl team. So that's 4. I think there might be 1 more, but that's it.
Chance for Campbell once again. He'll be stopped before he gets to the goal line once more, but he's at the 1.
If Butte gets beat by Sierra, Butte would be the other bowl eligible team. We're not talking playoff, bowl eligible. So that's only 5 teams, and there's at least, they have 6 bowls. Even if you make 2 of those American Division bowls, and they do a little different in the north. So let's say there's 4 National Division bowls, and you have 5 teams. I think we can all do the math. If that doesn't work out, since you need 2 teams for each bowl. So either they have to drop some of the bowls or just make some exceptions.
Campbell at the top. Okay, Campbell is in the end zone. 3 touchdowns for Darian Campbell as he hits the Heisman pose afterwards, and he will be in the end zone to make it 48-7. The Bobcats once again taking advantage of a couple of extra downs, and they will find themselves back in the end zone, and Saddleback leads it once more by a 41 spot. Looking to make it 42 here in just a couple of moments. And again, if you're looking at it from the side of El Camino, this game got away from you in a hurry, and unfortunate for Warriors fans watching along, they say, hey, you know what happened to the team that we saw last week? And the simple answer is you just ran into a Saddleback team that has looked fantastic ever since that Fullerton College matchup. And it's real interesting now, Ed, too, because you look at the hindsight of this season. The only loss for Saddleback was to Fullerton College. And in that matchup, it just looked like Saddleback couldn't get their offense going. They couldn't get their defense to get a timely stop. After that game, there has almost been no team in Southern California that has played to the level of Saddleback.
And a lot of times, Ryan, it's good to get that loss out of the way so we all know what it feels like. Because sometimes when teams have those perfect records, they get into the playoffs, and that's when they have a game as El Camino is having today, where they just can't put anything together.
was it Riverside a few years ago who ended up playing San Mateo in the championship game that was undefeated and then goes into that game against San Mateo and loses by 60?
I believe you're all right, yes.
This ball goes into the end zone, so it's going to be a touchback.
And last year, Mount Sac kind of had that emotional big win against Riverside to get into the state championship. And then they went up against San Mateo, and they didn't put up much of a fight. I mean, San Mateo had that game in hand most of the time.
They definitely have more games, but it's really how the other teams lay out.
So playoffs looming for Saddleback College.
Somebody that we have a better record than we play at home.
And they are looking to finish this one off here in the fourth quarter.
They can choose to,
El Camino
to play.
will start this drive at the 25-yard line. Little handoff here that's going to go over to the left-hand side to Azion Nelson. And Nelson will be dragged down right at the line of scrimmage.
I just wonder why. I'm not the coach. I'm not a coach, at least not for football, but it would seem like you're going to have to start putting it up in the air. You need to score some points here. You don't need to practice your normal offense.
Well, another thing here, too, is they're going to their third-string quarterback. Here's a ball that ends up getting bobbled right at the line of scrimmage, and it will be picked up for a 6-yard gain. They're going to, if I'm not mistaken, Lorenzo Mauseri, the 6'4" freshman out of Lemon Bay High School.
So it would seem that they're just going to kind of run this out and run some offensive plays with some of their non-starters and see where it takes them.
Mauseri looking over to his left. That ball gets tipped at the line of scrimmage. And again, this is a defensive line that now is looking at their 2s and 3s being in there that is still able to get pressure on the quarterback, which has been the biggest issue all day. The defensive line controlled the way that this game ended up being played at the line of scrimmage, and because of that pressure, there were 3 different interceptions, 2 balls that were lost via fumble, actually 3 balls that were lost via fumble. If you're looking at it from El Camino's side, the biggest number that is going to jump out to you at the end of this game will be 6 turnovers, 3 picks, 3 fumbles. And of those 6 turnovers, 5 were turned into touchdowns.
So we'll just say that, say if Ventura wins, really doesn't matter for Mount Sac. Mount Sac's going to be one of the teams in the playoffs. We won't say why, but they will be. Where does that leave a Fullerton? Where does that leave an El Camino? Do you match those 2 teams up in a bowl since they haven't played each other? That makes it a little more interesting than that one year where they made Santa Ana play Pasadena or something like that, like
City College,
twice in a row or something like that. It was just ridiculous.
It was 2 years ago. Santa Ana played Pasadena City College in their final game of the season, and then ended up playing them in a bowl game. I believe they ended up getting the Patriotic Bowl, if I'm not mistaken, as Roman Harden goes back for this ball, ends up getting tackled at the 29-yard line. But I think what you're going to see is, let's just say Ventura wins. So now you're going to look at Golden West number 1, Ventura number 2, they get a bye. Saddleback is going to be the number 3. Pretty plain and simple. They're going to be the number 3. They will host next week. Then right after them, you're going to go to a team like a Mount Sac. So let's just say Mount Sac slides into there. That leaves you 2 teams that have a chance to get in. Cerritos has done the work to get themselves into the postseason. I think Cerritos does find themselves in as maybe the number 6. So that leaves you the number 5. And if you're looking at it as in terms of teams across Southern California that can slot in at that number 5 spot, El Camino is the one who is going to pop out record-wise immediately. They have a better record than Fullerton because Fullerton now does have 3 losses. And all 3 of their losses, though, have come to theoretical playoff teams. They lost to Ventura, they lost to Cerritos, and now they lost to Golden West. So you have losses to the top 2 seeds, and then loss to the team that is probably going to get in at the very end. So Fullerton could be there, but I think that the selection committee would look more so at a team like El Camino and say they just ran into a very good Saddleback team. And then if that is the case, I think you're going to see Fullerton take on someone like, well, initially I was going to say a team like Southwestern, but they have also lost each of their last 3. So they are going to be bowl eligible, but they're not really going to be in the spot that they want to be.
Yeah, you bring up some interesting points there, Ryan. And where do you put some of those teams? Canyons can't get in there. Pasadena could finish at 5-5.
They're not going to want to put Moore Park in there.
You have Citrus and Moore Park, which possibly can also finish at 6-4. Well, we're forgetting about Riverside.
Riverside, yeah, no, that's the other thing too, is that Riverside with a win tonight could actually get themselves the number 5 or the number 6 spot. And then that leaves Fullerton playing a bowl game against presumably a team like either a Southwestern. I don't think that they're going to have them play Moore Park again, since they already did that in the first week of the season.
Right.
So you'll see probably Fullerton
punt.
playing a team like, we'll say, a Citrus. This ball goes back, punt is up, and it's away. End over end goes all the way back to the 15-yard line. It's going to take a healthy Saddleback bounce. If you're a Bobcat fan, you're pretty happy with it, as that will go to the 13-yard line, and that's where El Camino will take over. Clock is ticking here in the 4th quarter, where it remains a big-time Saddleback lead with 8:13 on the clock, 49-7, 42-point advantage for the Bobcats over El Camino. You are watching Saddleback football here on SportsNetUSA.net. See, the one time that I go to look at
you
El
ruined
Camino,
the surprise. We're going to start
did.
carrying El Camino football next year here on SportsNetUSA.net.
Now Sari goes
Ink's
back
not
in.
quite dry on the contract yet.
Toss to the near side. It's going to be picked up right at the 10, make it the 25, where he ends up being tossed out of bounds. So Malseri ends up with a 12-yard gain there, and El Camino looking to continue their drive.
Coming into this game, obviously I thought it would be a much tighter game, closer score. But I was thinking, Ryan, and I don't know if you would agree, that both these teams would make it to the playoffs, no matter who won or who lost.
No, I fully agree. I think that the only way that I would have seen El Camino not make the playoffs was a result like this, paired with a Fullerton College win, because the Fullerton College win would take away a spot from the bottom half of the playoffs of the playoff seeding. But the thing is that yes, this result is happening, and we're kind of marching our way towards a Saddleback win by a decent number. But Fullerton loses, so that gives El Camino a spot if the selection committee is looking for teams to fill out that top 6, as this one is batted down. And it will go down as incomplete with a 35 coming up. The selection committee can look at El Camino and say, yes, you played very poorly in that last matchup, but the 2 teams that could have taken your place also played poorly, and they have a worse overall record than you do. So El Camino would still end up falling in there.
So you're looking at Cerritos being a number 6 seed, El Camino being the number 5 seed.
Yeah, that's my thought.
Yeah.
I think you go with those.
I can go with that.
You go with those 2. Now, see, here's my thought process. I think that El Camino, if they get in, is going to be the number 5, because the selection committee isn't going to have El Camino come right back here to Saddleback next week. Toss down near side, looking for Jadis Green. He's going to make the reception, but not be at the line to gain. So it will be a 4th down and 1 to go. So if El Camino makes it, and Cerritos does make it, and again, we think that they have done the work to do so as long as they beat East LA tonight. That would bring Cerritos here, at least in our opinion. Snap goes back, handoff is there. Going to go right up the middle, and it will be for a 1st down. So El Camino at the 38-yard line has a 1st and 10.
And if you watch SportsNetUSA.net for a long period of time, we can honestly say that our football analysis predictions are much, much better than our softball ones, because we don't even know what's going on with softball most of the time. It's like they just throw this stuff up in the air and, oh, you're in, you're in, you're in.
You know, it's funny. Mark and I were going over RPI and PowerPoints for men's soccer last night, and then also women's soccer too, as this one is a handoff off left tackle, 1 yard gain. But we were kind of looking at it and going, okay, 2 years ago the selection committee said PowerPoint index, who cares? Last year, you looked at 1 through 24 on the Southern California PowerPoint index, and that is exactly who made the playoffs. So it's kind of a we'll see what happens when it comes to anything outside of football. Here's Malseri looking for an opportunity for a pass near side. He's got a guy that's going to end up going all the way down to the 42-yard line. So El Camino starting to work their way upfield just a little bit. The pass ends up going into the awaiting arms of Ramon Gilbert out of Inglewood High School.
And more urgency as it's down to 5.5 minutes.
Malseri back with it, looks over to his left. He's got a guy that's going to be a reception and swung out of bounds for a total gain of 6 on the play. Gerald Pickens Jr.
Sorry, Ryan. Let's remind Bobcats fans that your women's soccer team, one of the top-rated teams in the nation, not just California, in the nation by the United Soccer Coaches of America. They suffered a upset a few games ago to Orange Coast, but they came back and won handily against Fullerton 7-0 last night. They will be in the playoffs without a doubt. So you can watch those ladies. They are fantastic, and we'll see exactly where they get, where they land in the playoff structure and the brackets. Also, the men's team, maybe they might get one of the higher, lower, I don't know which way, one of those bigger number slots where they're going to have to play one of the better teams. But hey, you get into the playoffs, and that's what's important. So just keep watching sportsnetusa.net or go to the Saddleback College website for some of the games that we don't stream that are streamed in-house here. Basketball started up, and I believe women's basketball started off with a win.
They did indeed, and going to your point, Ed, actually if Saddleback gets 2 wins across their next 2 games, we were adding it up according to the PowerPoint formulas. This one is tossed up left-hand side, ends up going incomplete. We were adding it up. If they get 2 good wins, and we mean 1-0, but you shut down the other team, 2-0, and you have the majority of chances, they may sneak in as number 23 or number 24. They have to get a little bit of help, but with 2 solid wins and 1 loss by anyone in front of them, they could have a good chance of actually getting into the postseason. As Averill is going to be in there, he gets his 4th sack of the year, and he will force a 3rd down and about 13 to go.
And the Bobcats just come swarming through the offensive line, and that's a sack.
4th and 13 now for the Warriors.
They continue to be able to get themselves good positions with that defensive line. It's actually going to be 4th down and 13 from the 45-yard line. Malseri dropping back, turning to his right. Pocket collapses, and Saddleback with another sack. Turnover on downs, and the defensive line gets rewarded yet again for their play today. They have been very good. They've got 4 sacks collectively. They have forced 3 turnovers and 3 interceptions. So Saddleback will take over, and with 4:28 on the clock, it looks like we are going to have Saddleback come back out onto the field and have an excellent chance here to just kind of run this clock out.
Now, do you stick with Nikki Johnson, or do you bring in the 3rd-string quarterback?
See, I think you are going to see Howard come out, and that's exactly what happens. So Nikki Johnson takes a seat. He ends up having a couple of series, moves the team up the field, and also finishes off a touchdown drive as well, as Howard will end up handing this one off. Goes to Bastley, and Bastley will go up the middle and get stopped after a gain of 2 yards. So officially for the football team, in terms of schedule and results, they do have Saturday the 22nd as the next listed game for the SCFA playoff round number 1. So that would be in 2 weeks. So you were right, Ed. Before the game, you mentioned that it looked like they were going to take a week off, and you were absolutely correct. Saddleback is now going to host on the 22nd, it looks like.
And some other scores going on. Modesto still leading Sequoias. That game is at Sequoias, 13-point lead in the fourth quarter. And also in the fourth quarter, the game is almost over. 2 minutes and 39 seconds left. I don't know who has the ball. Sierra leading 21-17 over Butte. It's falling apart unless Butte has the ball here.
So Sierra with a great chance to be a 4-6 team in the playoffs because they have won each of their last 3 weeks, and they have wins over top of the 2 teams directly in front of them.
Right now it is Butte with the ball, but they are in their own territory. So we'll see what happens, and they're counting down to the, they've counted down to the 2-minute timeout, which used to be called the 2-minute warning in the NFL, but I guess we can't call it the same thing.
Found out that
Roger put some sort of copyright on that.
That's exactly the reason. Yes. I'm not joking.
I believe it. I just made a wild guess, and hey, don't use that in any of your advertising, you clients out there.
Chance by Carson Howard. He's going to take the handoff. Actually, excuse me, not take the handoff. He'll take the football and rush this all the way down to the 30, make it the 41-yard line. So a first down for Saddleback, and they will continue to keep the clock moving. 2:43 on the clock left in this one as Saddleback is closing in on a conference championship here.
Absolutely. Fresno City won't get into the playoffs probably, but they'll get a bowl game. They're winning 70-24, that game at Reedley College.
Carson Howard going back for that one. Had trouble with the snap, and he picks it up, tosses it out of bounds. So just kind of gets that ball away from him, and they'll have a 2nd and 10.
Moore Park, Ryan mentioned them earlier. They are leading Long Beach City by a score 30-13. That is in the fourth quarter. And then most of the other games are starting tonight. And of course, we'll have Cerritos and East Los Angeles, a game with playoff implications. You might want to click on that stream and watch that game with, who's that guy again? Oh, Albert Robles will be there, also Serwin D. Haynes, and you might even hear Mark Pavlovich and Corey Nealon. So a crew of 4. And who knows, Ryan might drive up there. Wade might drive up there. She wants to run the overhead camera.
Oh, there we go. Timeout taken on the field. Saddleback with the lead. As we mentioned, our score is 49-7 as we get to the 2-minute timeout. You are watching the Saddleback Bobcat football broadcast here on SportsNetUSA.net as Saddleback is just 2 minutes away from a Southern League title, and they will find themselves in the postseason. It's just a matter of what week they're going to play. Because again, if they end up with Ventura getting a win, Ventura would play or would get the bye. If Saddleback sees Ventura lose, Saddleback would slot in there.
Ryan, it seems in Northern California, Laney is not just rolling over to San Mateo, scored 31-20, and that's in the fourth quarter with over 8 minutes to play. And Laney had that game, last week or the week before, where they really put up a fight. They used to have really a great squad at one time.
Yeah, in 2021, they actually made the playoffs. I remember in 2018, they made the playoffs surprisingly because they had, if I remember right, they dropped down to the American for a couple of years, came back up to the National, and found themselves as the number 4 seed in 2018. And then last year didn't have the season that they wanted, but again,
21, they won the state championship.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Only thing I had against Laney was I don't know where they got their uniforms, but they had these plain vanilla uniforms that it's like, and what team are you? Are these old Baltimore Colts uniforms with all the stripes torn off the sleeves or something? But they had a very good team then.
Patrick Vasily, he's going to go on the left-hand side and get a first down. So on 4th and 1, Saddleback ends up going for it, and they will end up finding their way inside the 16-yard line with 1 minute left to go. Saddleback is going to close off a conference championship here. The Saddleback Bobcats started this season off with a couple of wins. They found themselves losing to Fullerton in week number 4, 40-34, but after that they have been one of the top 3 teams in the state. Mount San Jacinto, Chaffey, San Diego Mesa, Palomar, Southwestern, and a dominant victory over top of El Camino, as this will end it. The shower is on for Coach Fisher, his first year as the head coach of Saddleback, and he gets a conference championship and a spot in the SCFA playoffs coming up in just a couple of weeks. Make sure that you stay with SportsNetUSA.net to see whether or not East LA and El Camino and Cerritos are all going to get in. East LA hosts Cerritos at 6 p.m. You can watch that here on SportsNetUSA.net. Watch the 3C2A to see whether or not Saddleback will finish as a 1 or 2 or a 3. Actually a 2 or a 3 because Golden West ended up getting a win. But nonetheless, you can see if they get a bye or see if they'll be here in 2 weeks. The final for the conference champion Bobcats, 49. The Warriors, 7. That's going to do it here from SportsNetUSA.net. For Wade Donahoe and Ed Ford, I am Ryan Osborn, thanking you for joining us. You have been watching Saddleback Football here on SportsNetUSA.net.